In today's video, I am going to give you my top 5 growth stocks in the United States stock market. So let's get down, let's check these out. I am super excited for every single one of these. I do own a few of them. So let's get down, let's check them out. Now, I've talked about this one a ton of times. Carnival is going to be a massive growth story this year as well as next. As long as they can keep the coronavirus off of those ships, we're going to be all set for massive growth. And of course, everybody who likes cruise ships, myself included, really wants to get on one. We want to have that fun once again. Something else that's really special about Carnival, yes, they no longer pay a dividend, but they technically still do. And let me explain that really quick. And I have on other videos as well. But really quickly, if you own 100 shares of Carnival, you actually get on board ship credits when you're there. So it depends on the length of cruise. Usually, I think it's around $150 that I would be getting for the average length of trip that I usually do. I think it's $150 of onboard credit, or $120, somewhere in that range anyways, for a 7-day cruise. To me, that's basically like a dividend if I go onto it once a year. And I'm going to be probably buying shirts and things like that anyways, and liquor, because I like rum. So that's just a heck of a deal to me. They do trade at ridiculous volume, which is fantastic. They were slightly declining before the coronavirus outbreak. Of course, coronavirus did absolutely demolish the stock price. I wouldn't be surprised if they returned to $40. Once the cruise lines start getting back up and going, we do see a nice recovery of course, expectations of how the cruise industry will be after the coronavirus. Because of the massive dip on the chart, we can't really do all that much when it comes to chart reading. You can see a couple of different things, but really, when you see a massive drop like that, it's really hard, especially with the turmoil that they're currently going through. However, what I will say is they've sort of learned how to cut a lot of costs, a lot of dead costs. And because of that, I think that they could be more profitable after all of this stuff boils over. However, if you do look at that 6-month chart, you can see it hitting the same point twice, around $25. It has broken past the level of resistance, and it's starting to test it once again on the downward side. So it is quite interesting. However, at the same time, it's so hard to basically read these charts because of the turmoil they're currently going through. And as we can see, they were growing revenues beforehand. They were just not really growing earnings all that much. Not a ton anyways. Of course, 2020 decimated them, but at the same time, if they were growing this and now they're starting to learn how to deal with earnings, it's looking pretty good to me. And as we can see, gross profit, as we can see here, in 2019 was 7.9, 7.7, 7. Like, we can see that growth. It's gonna happen again. Believe me. It has to. If we really think about it, for how much costs that they've cut and they've learned how to deal with certain costs, we're gonna see more growth afterwards. Now, the next one is AIRBNB. For the same reasons, we're in a recovery. People are going to want to travel once again. Their average volume is also very high, and why I always bring up average volume is because if they're only trading at 1,000 shares and you wanted to buy 1,000 shares, it would be hard to get in, or try to sell 1,000 if they were only trading at an average of 1,000. But when you've got a stock that's trading at close to 7 million, it's very liquid, it's easy to get in and out. And not to mention, the AIRBNB chart recently just had an upside down head and shoulders. So again, this is a good sign. But again, it's very hard to really read these charts when you're looking at an industry that's been decimated. And this is what I mean by decimated. Like, look at that. Growing revenue other than 2020, but look at that earnings. Negative, not great. But again, it's because of the industry they're in. Next is Square. Square is going to be very good because a lot of personal trainers that I know use Square. I personally have used Square in the past, and I still, once in a while I do. I just prefer e-transfers from the bank. It's so much easier. But average volume is 10 million shares. I'm not too sure how big e-transfers are in the States because In Canada, we can just transfer from our bank, and it doesn't matter what bank you're with. I can just email you money, and it's just so much easier. But if Square continues to get into restaurants, as I've seen and I've been reading stories, then they look like a good recovery play as well, because their cost to run business is extremely low. And let's also see that they do have a double bottom that has formed, which is really good. Square is SQ on the stock market, the ticker, and personally that's just a very good looking chart right now. Next is PayPal, PYPL. This is another very good stock right now. Again, going with the whole recovery play, but with the online selling as well. It's a good cross. The thing with PayPal is the fact that yes, they do have that online business and everyone is going online with online payments. And of course, PayPal is basically the king of online payments. However, they are starting to get into the stores. They were starting to get into, at least up here in Canada, into businesses taking prepayments for things. And I use PayPal myself. I don't invest in it, but I do use it. So I like it. Their chart's also been really good, mainly because, of course, the whole everything going online thing has been massive for them. And then MGM Resorts, MGM on the stock market. They're currently trading at $43. Their volume is 7.8 million shares. Of course, another one that has been decimated by the whole coronavirus. Their financials, as we can see, were growing beforehand, except their revenue has been, of course, not that great. And of course 2020 was horrible. However, the last couple of quarters they haven't done terribly. They have missed 2 out of the past 4, but again, we are still dealing with a worldwide pandemic. The 6-month chart does have me excited because of course it's hitting new highs all the time. It's had a double bottom. It looks like it's going to be growing a bit more because of that, and of course because of the reopenings that we've been seeing. The only thing that does scare me on the 5-year chart is the fact that it's currently trading higher than it has over the past 5 years. However, once countries start opening up their borders, Canada being one of them, we're really going to start seeing just everyone wanting to go on vacation because we've been locked up in our houses forever. So this is why I kind of think that the travel industry may have a nice boom very soon. So just to recap, Carnival, CCL, AIRBNB, which is ABNB on the stock market, Square, which is SQ on the stock market, PayPal, which is PYPL on the stock market, and MGM Resorts International, which is MGM on the stock market. I think that these stocks could be massive growth opportunities because of the reopening that's about to happen soon, eventually, maybe, hopefully. So, of course, some of these stocks may be better than others. Always do your own research. Never trust a random person on the internet. I personally own Carnival, but none of the other stocks that I mentioned today. And Carnival, personally, I like it mainly because of the future potential of course, cruising starting to open, the borders starting to open, and of course, the fact that they may start paying a dividend in the future because they did stop in the 2008 recession, and now they've stopped again because of the coronavirus pandemic. So because of those 2 times that we've had a recession, the first time we had the dividends start back up again. I really think it's going to happen again maybe in a few years for Carnival. And at the same time, you're getting basically a dividend anyways because you get, if you have 100 shares, you get onboard credits when you go on their boats. So that gets me excited. I like cruising myself, so that's just one of those things. I hope that this list has given you some ideas as to which plays that you could run. Of course, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.